This is a journey into sound. A journey which along the way will bring to you new color, new dimension, new value, and a new experience.
Welcome to the Spirit Sessions podcast. I'm your guide, Katie Silcox, bringing you your weekly self-love soundbite. Join us, where I'll help you find your true spiritual home, where every single aspect of you is holy ground. Holy ground.
This is a journey into sound.
This is a Spirit Session podcast with Katie Silcox. Venga chicos, empezamos.
Hi everyone, dear listener, happy September. It's your girl here with everything fresh and funky related to feeling good, y'all. I'm out here in my backyard, so we are going to be doing a really cool thing together. And just really excited about what I'm sharing with you guys in this special episode. They're all special, and so are you, and so is everyone. That's the great secret and paradox of this whole journey. So a couple of people have asked me, Katie, why do you have this really sexy voice when you're doing the podcast? And it's like, I'm not trying to have a sexy voice. It's just that I almost always am recording these podcasts in the morning, kind of first thing. And yeah, I got morning voice. So I hope you like it. And I hope you're doing well out there, guys. I want to start the show off by saying, have you ever noticed that stuff keeps happening? Yeah, stuff keeps happening. It's like I notice in my own mind something that the Eastern and Western mystical traditions always remind me of, and that is there is a part of us that keeps waiting on, well, if I could just do this one thing, or if this one thing would just happen in the world, or if this one thing would just change in my relationship or my body or my health, then X. So as I'm saying this to you guys, the sun is coming up over the trees in my backyard, and there are these filaments of spider web that have dropped down through the trees into my backyard, and the light is hitting them, and this is actually happening. And wherever you are right now, you might be in your backyard, you might be in your bathtub, you might be driving your car. I don't know where you are, but there's something actually occurring that is outside the frame of if this one thing would just happen. And I think it's a trap that we all fall into, and it's nothing new to our time. It's been happening since time immemorial. But what these ancient teachings continually over and over again remind us of is the power of the pause. In my new book, I call this the holy pause. The holy pause. Holy because it takes in everything holistically. So this one thing, because as you well know, the one thing can happen and then the next one thing arises, or, we keep waiting. And so I just want to encourage myself and you to just stop waiting and to really take a holy pause today with me as we dive into some fun, cool stuff. So as you saw in the title of the podcast, you have this really special part of your body, which most people don't know, that their brain, which we think of as being encased safely, which is a good thing, inside of our heads is actually, we have a part of it on the outside of our body. Yes, you have a part of your brain on the outside of your body, and it's your retina. Now, the work of a neurobiologist named Dr. Andrew Huberman, I was doing some research, and it's incredible. This guy really does a brilliant overview of how our eyes are really these important gateways into modulating our state. In other words, so much of how we feel unconsciously for most of us is related to what we're doing with our eyes, you guys, from moment to moment, but also in terms of a 24-hour day. And of course, that affects our week, our month, our year, and our life. So the eyes are these really important portals into your spiritual practice. Why? Because, so much of what our focus here is at Shakti School is ancient Ayurveda meets modern science. Beautiful ancient technologies for living really well, plus learning to work with your nervous system in a new way and perhaps an old way. So the yogis understood the importance of the eyes as well, and there's a whole field of asana, which is just related to eyeballs and eye positioning. So the ancients understood this, and they also understood that the second important realm that we could use to alter our physiological state was the breath. And so breath and eyes, really important. And now, if you go a little more subtle underneath breath, it's prana, right? Energy. And so we can work this stuff on the overt realm, which we'll do a little bit of that today in this podcast, but we can also work it on the subtle realm, which you gotta join the Ayurveda School if you want to go there with me, because it's just too challenging to do it on a podcast. So let's talk about the eyes. So you have these two beautiful portals into the soul, windows of the soul as they're known. And a part of your brain is on the outside of your body. It's your retina. And the retina is this incredible part of our brain that has this amazing, super refined autonomic, meaning you don't have to think about this. You don't have to make this happen. Oh, yummy. Tea in the morning. What a pleasure. So, okay, you have this retina, and it has the ability to take in cues from the outside world, in particular response to particles of light. So your retina is communicating with your endocrine system and your nervous system with what's going on the outside world. And based on light, your body does the whole entire host of circadian rhythm. Your entire metabolic system is related to light. Your entire endocrine hormonal system is related to light. Your nervous system is partially related to light and all the other five senses, okay? So this is incredible, you guys. And human beings are especially visual creatures. We're not so much about the smells, although that's important, but we've kind of evolved to be really sensitive to the visual realm. Now, the ancients understood this as well, and they said that there were two important portals into this relationship to light. I wish Dr. Andrew Huberman would slide into my DMs, because he's super hunky, by the way. Andrew, if you're listening. But anyway, Dr. Andrew, did you know, dear listener, did you know that the ancients knew this incredible science that folks like Dr. Huberman are doing? I think he's at Stanford, around the eyes and how it affects our health. And they said there are these two sacred portals. One is in the morning and one is in the evening. And specifically, the first one, the sattvic light, this light of clarity, this health-bringing, life-affirming light, is in the morning at sunrise. And, of course, in the evening as the sun sets. And then there was a whole rituality around it involving Agnihotra in the morning, which is, you do your salutes to the sun, not necessarily with your body, although that's great to add movement to this, because movement is another important way that your body gets signal, right? When you work out in the morning, it gives the body the signal to get that cortisol going, which we need to have that cortisol going. People think cortisol is this bad thing. No, cortisol is wonderful at the right time of day. So in the morning, you have the sattvic light, and we would do ritual around this about particularly that first moment of the sunrise. And similarly, we would do something in the evening around the sunset. Now, what neurobiologists are now, telling us, which is so cool because I love science, and I think science is the language of our current world, and we need to learn that language and communicate in that language so people can understand us. But we also need to learn the language of the ancients. We need both. We need tradition and we need innovation. And when it's true, usually they tend to agree. So in the morning, what happens is you need to, if we are not taking in the morning light with our eyeballs, and if you're inside, it's not going to work. And if you're inside with windows, it's not going to work. I don't care how big they are. Glass blocks this particulate light that needs to go inside your retina think of it as like you're getting information from the sun, right? And your retina is the portal through which the sun gives you this important health-bringing information. And people like Dr. Andrew are keeping it on the physical realm. I mean, I don't know him yet until he listens to this podcast where I hashtag nerd crush on him. But what neurobiologists don't speak to is not only are we getting this physiological signaling in this love relationship with the Holy Father that is the sun, because if this thing went away, we'd all die. Right? But we're also getting spiritual information. And you can think of it as, spiritual information, love and light, dolphins and unicorns, woo-woo stuff. But it's actually really is supported by the science, because if you aren't getting this information, it starts to mess with your hormones, and especially mess with your body's ability to know where it is in time and space related to the natural world. And guess what, guys? The first thing that goes, what is it? It's your relationship to sleep. Without this morning portal, relationship to sleep goes. Without this evening late afternoon portal, relationship to sleep goes. Stress increases. Let's go back. The 3 pillars of Ayurvedic life and 3 pillars of health are sleep, food, and sex. So, it's like your health is resting on a stool. And when we don't have that morning portal and that afternoon portal to the sun, one of our stool legs gets kicked over. And so now we're sitting on a 2-legged stool, which is awkward. Right? Okay, I'm getting excited. Can you tell? Partially because I'm thinking about Dr. Andrew. But partially because, more importantly, and more than partially, is that I'm just feeling so grateful for the type of work that these scientists are doing, and also for our foremothers and forefathers that taught us this. So when our hormones are out of balance, when our melatonin, which is that hormone that particularly the retina is going to modulate when we're getting that information from the sun, when our hormones are out of balance, when our sleep is out of balance, when our stress increases, it is really hard to feel the voice of our spirit. And another way of saying that in more modern terms is anxiety and depression go up. They do. And there's a science around all of this. Diet, sleep, so important for how anxious or depressed we feel, which is the modern malaise. And then, of course, diet and related to obesity, etc. All of these interweave. So, morning portal to the sun. Get up in the morning. So here's the gig. Let's say you can't get the sunrise. That's okay. So ideally, you're going to get up in the morning. You're going to find a cute little app online. Or, if you don't want an app, you go read about it on the internet. And you can see exactly the time of the sunrise and the sunset where you live. And you're going to be outside. It doesn't matter if it's cold. It doesn't matter if it's cloudy. It doesn't matter if it's raining. Get your umbrella, be outside, or stand in the doorway. Oh, can you guys hear my crickets? So beautiful. Or are they the cicadas? I think they're the cicadas. I'm not sure. So back to our plan of action. You're going to get up in the morning. You're going to go outside, and you are going to let the first light in the morning be the light that you see. Before you look at your phone or your computer, you're going to go outside and let that light be the first light that you see. If you can coordinate it with the sunrise, even better. You really only need about 2 to 10 minutes of this direct light. Now, don't stare at the sun, of course, but, stare out into the periphery of your garden or out the window, open the window, peep your little head out. And it's that simple. You're just going to let your retina take in that 2 to 10 minutes of morning light. And then you're going to do the same thing at the sunset. There's a reason we love watching the sunrise and the sunset, you guys. It's not just because it's beautiful. It's because it is downloading health info into you. That's what's going on. And then we don't even need to go into all the benefits with vitamin D, etc. Now, you may be asking, because I asked this and I had to consult my super genius brother-in-law, shout out Will, what if you wear contacts? So I'm super nearsighted, like sadly blind, partially blind. I wear glasses that look like a Coke bottle, right, on my face. What if I wear glasses and contacts? And there's not a lot of info out there about it. I know I know one of you out there is going to send this to Dr. Andrew, and he's going to write me back and say, Katie, first of all, I love your morning voice. Second of all, thank you so much for, translating ancient Ayurveda through my incredible work with the retina. But Dr. Andrew, we want you to tell us what's the deal with glasses and contacts, because there's not a lot of info out there. But Will, my super genius scientist brother-in-law, and I have concluded that we think that it has to be without contacts and glasses. For the same reason that the window blocks out the light, contact lenses cover your eyes, which made me start to think, dang, like what if my contact lenses are really messing with my ability to take in all that information? It's not that's not a solution, because I need to be able to see throughout the day. But this is a great question for Dr. Andrew. Maybe he's going to write us and tell us. But nonetheless, there's no conclusiveness around this. But Will and I think that you need to be raw. Your eyes need to be open and no glasses or contacts. But remember, it only needs to be about 2 to 10 minutes. So just do it, take your glasses off, look into the light, and then same thing in the afternoon. Now, so that's a beautiful morning and evening practice. And what I've found is it's so meditative. Like so much in the West, we've lost our intrinsic rituals. Ancient people Ayurveda, good God, man, the mantras around sunrise and sunset, praying at sunrise and sunset. In Islam, they pray 5 times, I believe, per day. And it's not about the religious aspect. It's about the ritualization in relationship to the natural world. And as I've been doing this sattva, I call it the sattva light practice, as I just kind of incorporated that into my morning and my evening, I'll tell you, for me, the unintended secondary effect of this type of medicine is always positive. And there's this beautiful gratitude for the sun. It's so beautiful. So, secondary post effect, and really super important for me, I've struggled with sleep for a really long time, despite living, a pretty healthy life. And I will say I've seen an incredible difference in my sleep because of this practice. And I've only been doing it about a couple of weeks. Sleep is so much better, you guys. So any of you sweet hearts out there, my heart goes out to you if you struggle with sleep, because I know that little seventh realm of Dante's hell. I know that very well. I know the way that sleep, when you don't have it, your whole life starts to kind of crumble. So I really dedicate this podcast to you. I get it. It's intense. And so one of the great things that has been shown to be super effective for sleep, if you guys aren't aware of it, is taking magnesium. I'm not a big fan of taking melatonin. I realize it can be good in a pinch. I've taken it, I take it a couple times a year if I'm traveling, but you really don't want to mess with your hormones. You kind of want to let nature do what it wants to do. But magnesium is something I've had a lot of success with. And so the basics on that is you want to be aware of a certain type of magnesium. So if you take magnesium citrate, that is going to be more of the laxative magnesium, which can also be nice if you need it. But magnesium threonate or biglycinate, and that's going to be 250 to 400 milligrams. Of course, always consult with your doctor, but this is just some good information to have. You're going to take that before bed. Not so much if you've got heart condition, and always check with your doctor before taking any of our herbal info recs, but that has been also a game changer for me. So, moving on, let's talk about your eyes and your vagal nerve. So the eyes are one of these key points for accessing this vagus nerve, which we won't go into in depth today in this podcast, but we do go into a lot more in Ayurveda School, which before we end this podcast, just one note, Ayurveda School, guys, it's about 2 weeks from now is our last chance to get the Earlybird pricing, that sweet Earlybird discount. We start together in January. If you love what you hear in this podcast and you want to study with me, this is really the only way to study with me these days. I'm not doing a lot of live trainings. Of course, that might change for next year, but Ayurveda School is where it's at. It is happening. Me and other experts in the field who share one common denominator, and what is that? It's smart plus heart. We love both of these realms. We also get to experience everything we talk about here in these podcasts. And guys, here's the incredible news. The Buddha said it best and first, or maybe not first, I don't know. He said, guys, I wouldn't teach this if happiness wasn't possible. The first rule of Buddhism is, I think it's the first, life is suffering. Life is full of suffering. The second rule is, life is full of pain. The second rule is everything is always changing and impermanent. And I mean, that's like such a bummer. Like nothing lasts and pain, right? But he also said, and guess what? There is a place inside of us that can be content within all of that. And as someone who has struggled with my mind and with anxiety and with freaking health issues, you guys, I feel so passionate about this, because I'm not saying I've got my shit together perfectly, but I am a different woman than when I started this journey when I was 20 years old. I know that this stuff works, and I would love for you to be with our incredible community in January as we begin. So you may be thinking like, oh, I can't afford it. We have super affordable payment plans. Write my staff, info@theshaktischool.com. You can set up a call with one of my girls, Malia, Lindsay, Takesha, or Sarah, who've all done the program, who love it. And they're ladies just like you with, kids and lives and jobs, and they're more than happy to talk to you. You've only got 2 more weeks to get that hot deal, so get your booty in my program. I want to see your face on the Zoom all in 2022. All right, back to our eyes. There's a really cool practice we can do that is so simple to move out of hyper-focus. So one of the downsides of modern reality, it's also really freaking cool, but it's called screens. It's called your iPhone. It's called your computer. And oh my God, this morning I was like, yo, I feel like I'm in the Matrix these days. You know, it's like we live these virtual realities, and it's just that is a part of reality, is virtual reality. It is, we just sort of have to accept it. And therefore, because I don't see myself moving out to like the country and just living in my van, although it could happen. It could, you know, very well happen, but it's not happening in 2021 or 2022. So we live these online lives, and you live this online life. I know so many of you that have kids that are on Zoom. Your work has transferred to Zoom. I feel like this podcast is an ad for Zoom. Anyways, we have to therefore be even more wise and diligent and disciplined with our remembering to go back to the place where we move our visual field out of the hyper-focused one-dimensional realm. So when you're looking at a screen, you just think you're looking at a screen, but your animal body thinks that you are in hyper-focus mode. The pupils change, the brain starts to shift to adapt to this more narrowed lens of focus. And it sends a signal, unconscious, right? Like, it's not like we're aware of this, but it sends a signal that says, be hyper-focused. Now, in the animal world, you have to think, when would an animal be really hyper-focused? Well, probably when it was a little bit afraid, or it needed to fight or run away. Okay? So these startle states, these fight, flight, freeze states all tend to send the visual field into a more smaller range. Right? Now, prey, right? You're a prey. Now, I want you to move into predator realm. I mean, we don't need to become predators, right? But it's just this, and even beyond this whole diet, sort of this dichotomy of predator and prey, I want to move out of that as well. But think about when a lioness is like just wandering about, lackadaisical, just sort of happily relaxed. Think about when a monkey is perched on a branch and all is well in the kingdom, right? There's a scanning of the peripheral realm. When you're chilling out, lounging in a hammock on the beach, think about that. You've got the ocean in front of you. We love horizons because it gives our spirit and our physiology the sense of such a bigger perspective. How many of you out there, dear sweet listeners, are like, oh my Lord, I get so focused on what we call Steve Hoskinson, the what's wrong attention. Our brain is programmed, and these screens are making it worse, to go to the what's wrong attention. The left and right brain hemisphere is my new obsession, and it's really complicated. The left and right brain do everything, but they do it differently. And when we're so in that left brain, right, problem solving, analyzing, naming, labeling, this is right, this is good, this is bad, we miss out on this other realm of our intelligence, which can see 360 freaking degrees. All right. So what I want you to do is, if you're driving, be careful with this, but otherwise just stop what you're doing, please. Put down whatever multitask you're doing, if you are. If you can be outside, even better. And I want you to let your eyeballs soften. And I want you to see how far wide you can get your vision. Move into that total realm of periphery with me. Take it all in. Get comfortable with not having to focus on any one thing. You can even let your head kind of turn a little if that helps. Expand the realm of vision. And if you notice your eyes want to kind of focus in on something, that's okay. That's okay. Just let that happen, but then gently guide it back. Okay, mind, eyeballs, we're going to go into some big eagle eye visioning right now. Oh, I just took a deep breath. I don't know how it's landing in your body. I find this practice super helpful when you get really focused on, something you have to get done or stress or a problem. Just take a moment, take in that big picture. And I hope this was super helpful. These little tips and tricks may seem really simple, but they can be super profound. So many of you, dear listeners, are in Ayurveda School. I will see you there. And those of you that aren't, I will hope to see you in 2022 very soon. And yeah, keep those eyes juicy.
Beautiful.